Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel. This is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite-sized, on-the-ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So, I want to talk today about these quiet little sacrifices we make for the people that we love, like the ones that feel like devotion and also the ones that nobody actually asks for, and what happens when you finally stop and check. So, my best friend was about to have major surgery, big major surgery. She's like my sister, and she had it all planned out. I was going to be with her the whole week, Tuesday through Sunday. Like I was just going into my nursemaid era, and I'm very good at those sorts of things because I'm bossy and loving at the very same time. So I largely cleared my calendar and I was just like ready to go. And so a little bit like the week before I was to head to my nursing duties, another friend of mine offered me a ticket to see Dave Matthews. And this was not just any ticket to see Dave Matthews. This was a ticket to see Dave Matthews and basically be sitting on Dave Matthews' lap. And I'm a pretty big Dave Matthews fan. And so, I said without a beat to my friend, like, listen, I can't go. I've already signed up to be a nurse and I'm so bummed, but I really have to be there. And I was like pretty sad about it. Like I was pretty bummed. And I also kind of wore it like a badge, like, aren't I the best friend? Like, look at me. Look what I'm willing to give up. And I do thank my dog Danny for helping me think. And I was out for a walk with him a couple of days later, and something just kind of stopped me mid stride. I realized that I hadn't even asked my friend if I could go to the Dave Matthews concert. Never asked her. I just decided that I couldn't go. And truth be told, by Saturday, she was going to be 4 or 5 days post op, and she's an amazing husband who's going to be right there for her. She had like no kids in the house. And I just quietly assumed, in this very, I would argue to say, murdery way, that she needed me there every single second or the whole thing would fall apart. I mean, how self important is that, right? And more important, I think, is that I made the whole decision for her in my own head. And I never gave her a say or a vote. And this is a very capable person. So I did this pretty obvious thing, Ascenders, and I decided to run it by her. And, I said to her, listen, I have this thing Saturday night. And so I can be there Tuesday through Saturday afternoon. And I'm so happy to help you figure a plan in case you need somebody. And I swear, like, need somebody, like, couldn't even come out of my mouth because I told her about the concert. And she looked at me like I had three heads. And she was like, stop it. You are absolutely going to this concert. What are you even talking about? I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. It's so generous that you're coming to stay with me that long in the first place. And so all I'm saying, Ascenders, is that this whole burden, this whole story, and this whole burden that I've been carrying around for days was never hers to give me. It was self-built. It was self-made. And one honest question made it disappear. So that brings me to our pocket sage today. And, I'm a big fan of a daily reader. I sometimes think it's like a spiritual horoscope, and I'm a big fan of the Courage to Change daily reader. It comes from a recovery fellowship called Al Anon. And this particular reader is written by everyday people who have lived through hard, beautiful work of learning to take care of themselves while they love other people, right? And so there's no like pocket sage. The book today is the pocket sage. Here's the passage. No one readily knows what's in my heart, mind, and soul. Before I began my recovery, I expected those closest to me to know what I was feeling without my telling them. When I was hurt and wanted comfort, I pouted. I couldn't understand why I rarely got the responses I expected. I no longer expect anyone to read my mind. I also accept that if I can't read the mind of a loved one. Today, I treat the people in my life with more respect because I am learning to ask for what I need and to encourage others to do the same. How good is that? You're lucky because I'm going to read it again for those of you in the back. No one readily knows what's in my heart, mind, and soul. Before I began my recovery, I expected those closest to me to know what I was feeling without my telling them. When I was hurt and wanted comfort, I pouted. I couldn't understand why I rarely got the responses I expected. I no longer expect anyone to read my mind. I also accept that I can't read the mind of a loved one. Today, I treat the people in my life with more respect because I am learning to ask for what I need and to encourage others to do the same. How good is that last line, right? Treating people with more respect by not assuming that I already know what's going on inside them and that I know what's best for them, by the way, you know? So let that sit for a second because I'm going to take it somewhere. Our word of the day today is checking. Checking is such a small, ordinary thing. It's a box, right? It's a little tap on the shoulder before you act, or the question you ask out loud instead of the, answer that you have in silence, right? Without checking. And it's really one of the most loving things that you can possibly do for another person. And here's what I mean, right? When you love someone, you build a little model of them inside of your mind and you think you know what they want, and you think you know what they'd feel, and you think you know what they need from you. And a lot of time that model is sweet and it's well-meaning, but it's still a model. It's not the actual living person sitting across from you. And so when you're taking action on that model instead of on the live person, you can really end up giving them something that they never wanted while you quietly give up something that you want, Dave Matthews. And the simple act of checking is how you close that gap. It's how you make sure the person you're loving is the real one and not the one that you invented. It costs you almost nothing. A sentence here or there, a quick question, and it returns you both to the truth. So I want you to carry this word with you today, checking. The willingness to ask the real person instead of trusting the version of them that you have in your head. And so here's what I want us to think about today. So much of what we carry around as love is actually assumption wearing love's clothing, right? And we do it constantly. We do it with the best and biggest hearts in the world. Let me be clear on that. We make decisions on what people need. We decide what would hurt them or what would help them or what they're capable of, how much they can handle, what they're going to be disappointed by, what they expect from us, what they think of us. And then we organize our whole behavior around that decision. And we never once say out loud to the only person who could tell us if we got it right. And here's the part that I think is utterly important. When we do this, it really can feel noble. It can really feel noble. It can really feel selfless. We get to be the good friend, the good daughter, the good partner who does not put their own wants first. But if we're honest, underneath that nobility, there's something quieter and maybe sadder going on because we're taking the other person's chance to actually weigh in on their own life. We're deciding for them. And the reading today names this so beautifully when it talks about no longer expecting anyone to read our minds and accepting that we can't read their minds either. The second half is the part that we skipped. We accept that other people can't read our minds for sure. You don't know what I'm thinking, right? But we keep walking around acting like we can read everyone else's mind. And there's a big cost to this that I think we might not talk enough about. Because every time you sacrifice something for a need that somebody's not expressed, you're spending real currency of your own life, real time, real joy, a real Dave Matthews concert that you might miss. And you're spending it on a story, not on them, on a story you wrote about them. And it's wild, right? That the actual person often doesn't even want the sacrifice. I can't tell you how quickly she shut that down. It was almost embarrassing, Ascenders. I can say that to you, right? I think she would have been horrified to know what I gave up in her name, right? And this reading puts the way out in such humble, doable language, because the respect is in the asking, not in the sacrificing. We think the love is in how much we give up, but the love is actually in the question, in turning to the real person and saying, here's what I'm thinking. What do you need? What do you actually need? And that tiny act is saying, I take you seriously. It says, you get a vote in your own life. Shocking. It says, I want to know the truth rather than be a hero in a story that I made up. And honestly, the relief on the other side of that question, it's enormous. Because most of the time, the people who love us are not asking us to, get small and disappear for them. They want us to have our lives, if it's a healthy relationship, right? They want us at the concert. They're rooting for our joy. And we're the ones who decided otherwise. And so here's your question for the day. What are you giving up for someone right now that you've never actually asked them about? And listen, I am right here with you, Ascenders, and you know it. Putting down the burdens nobody handed us and asking the real questions instead. And listen, if this one's landing with you, or you think your sister needs to hear it, or you think your next door neighbor, send it around. Let it make the rounds. Scream it from the rooftops. We want to grow our Ascender crew because we rise together. Until next time.